Both of those were taken away by the side of Spacestation. So we're not heading there. None of the 3 maps will be part of that. If we're looking back at best of 3s, it was Cafe 7-4 Empire and Clubhouse 8-7 Empire. That was back at the Mexico Major.
That's it. Mexico, and it wasn't too far away, but you're sort of looking at these 2 teams having that, back and forth split, a back and forth divide, and Mexico was obviously where Empire were performing better than some of their other performances on the grander stage. They have generally been consistent, but that was where they went the distance. That was when they were able to really sort of put down a mark as the only non-Latin American team to fly a flag
this year.
Yeah.
That's the important part as well. Yeah, they were the only finalist in a major or 6 invitational in the last 12 months who were not from Latam. And with that, there is instantly that bit of pressure upon them because they haven't made any big roster changes and nothing since then. And you kind of wanted to see them go all that way again, especially with Na'Vi that is currently knocked down, Eminem who is in the losers bracket, and BDS who is already eliminated.
They're gone.
It is good to see whether or not Empire will be able to live up to these old heights again. For those of you who did not realize, we are in a quick pause. It was called. It's not a tactical timeout.
It's a technical.
It's probably a technical. And we'll just get that quickly resorted before we actually do get into this matchup.
All right, well, let's talk shop. Let's talk about how we think this is going to go, because there's some fun statistics about these 2 teams throughout all that they've done so far. Obviously, Empire, they haven't played yet today. If you missed SSG's game earlier today, it was versus Na'Vi, and they almost lost it. They lost the opening map, they lost Chalet. Then in the middle, in that bank that was SSG's pick, they had a massive comeback. They were on about 6-3, I believe it was, and then won every single defense since that point. Got themselves to win on that map, and then went over to the 3rd map and flawless defense to come back from 1-5 down. They've had a tough warm-up. They've had a rocky start to the day.
And as always, fatigue might start to play a role at some point. Of course, over the entire event, every single team has only played 1 best of 3 a day. And now suddenly, it is SSG that will have to play a 2nd one. Now, there could be either 2 ways about this. Either they are warmed up well, or might have been worn out a little bit, whereas Empire have the opportunity to fully focus upon this match here, which might be their advantage.
And I think that's also worth sort of bringing as a point of comparison is, although they have a good club, it was obviously a flawless defense was their club earlier today. They didn't drop a single defensive round, and they're coming straight back into that. And that might be something that actually helps them, potentially. Obviously, you never really know about the conversation until the team is, and you've got to prepare for teams differently. But the fact that they've already sort of had a pretty hefty run at this today and come out the other side pretty pinch perfect, they still have that energy, they still have that blood, and they'll theoretically be able to drive it. But Empire as well, they've been able to get themselves into pretty solid positions across all of this.
Yeah, for sure, they have been able to set themselves up well, and as it's hot and on that roam, it is something we saw Na'Vi struggle with before. The Vigil basically drawing away the attention and making sure that Na'Vi slowed down. There's one thing, though, that we know about Empire, and they are pretty systematic. Yes, they might find out. Yes, they might be slowed down as a result, but they'll always continue their step-by-step plan. It is their identity, and it is what they do well. And what Fultz did well is to open it up with a nice nitro there. So that's the entry going towards the side of Space Station. That is then gone as well, and a bunch of utility out of the hands.
All the way on the top floor as well. So far from anything else that's going to come through, Joystick is going to be able to get a bit of a sniff here of Bosco, who's just going to leave that first ping at the top, but fall his way down. Didn't want to opt for the swing with the shotgun. Instead has just gotten out of there. The read is, well, he's long gone. And, well, as always, to pick up Rampy on the split, they are removed from it. The Malusi, that sort of acting connector, and Bosco's now in a bit of a tricky situation. He has Falls as the closest, but he's still a stretch away, and there's obviously Hotton on the other far side as well, and Strip, but it's a bit of an isolated push, and he knows he's got to go past somewhere where somebody's already died. He's going to take the dip dive, see if he can slip his way through, and does. actually find an escape route, but look at that. Hodden, they're hot on his trail. The fight is on the door, and he says, no, you're not on the list. Your name's not there. You're not coming in. He actually pulls himself back in. Now, as I said, he's isolated here. That's the risky thing about playing in this position. There is one way out. And that is, for now, currently being watched. And even if he impacts the billiards and tries to go for a little bit more width, it's still a generally forward-directed position.
Yeah, so technically it's a 3-on-3 on the side now. If Empire do decide to push it, of course they don't as of yet. The drone just continues to give away the information whether or not he will start pushing or not. And as a barricade gets opened up, he creates himself another opening. Well, that is being watched, however, and as always, spots the shoulder. He picks up the kill as well. Didn't pull the trigger until he was certain he was able to pick up the kill as well. And now they do no longer have to worry about a potential roamer to still be out there. The one thing they do have to worry about, though, is time. And this grenade might pick up Skies, actually forces him back, not cooked properly enough. But the drop comes through. The diffuser gets dropped, and they now need to swing in multiple different directions. Always gets the first, but he doesn't quite know about the shotgun around the corner. It's only up to Scyther now in a 1-on-2. He sees the first, but cannot quite connect. And Skies is going to be able to pick up that kill and make sure that Empire is not taking that first round away from them.
Empire, they found themselves a little bit caught up in the roam play. Obviously, losing down on the entrance made things a little bit more complex when they tried to go for the drop. And they tried to go for that attempted push round. They didn't have the Zephyr stuns. They didn't have that utility, that extra swing that could have come through with them. The Jackal was well put together. It was able to isolate two players. And although they didn't intently get the kill off the back of the tracks, look at what they did do and what Na'Vi massively struggled with earlier on in the day, which is just that freedom and safety of information of, well, we know where they've pulled themselves off to. We know where they've moved their way down. We've got them dropped out of this position, so we can get that clarity on it. We know that there's the player off in strip, and they lost the engagement on strip door, but they had him, as we said, sort of locked and boxed in that area.
Yeah, they had, and that is the important part of it. They knew where he was. They didn't really have to worry about him. You know, you just hold the angles. He will come out at some point. The big issue was, though, that because it took quite long and because the initiative was within SSG to decide when that roamer would pop up again, a lot of time has passed by and a lot of time was wasted. And that leaves us with SSG, a single roundup over Empire here, who want to do better, of course, than that one round. They lost an early entry. Things could have been massively different with Dan still on the board. So that is something they'll have to watch out for. And of course, if you look at the scoreboard, it's only Always who managed to pick up kills and bring it back to a 2v1 or 2v2 at the end there.
Well, Always has always been that consistency for Empire over the past year. Empire as a team, if you've not intently watched them in EUL and just sort of seen them on majors, is their struggle is with that face that they've had. As they put it out on the desk, they got a bit too cautious, they got themselves double-checking things and found they lost that sharp edge that was famously led by Dan and Joystick. They are a great offline team. As they've proven in this tournament and many others throughout the year as well, they have that ability to sort of get over that, obviously hindered by the fact that two of the players are still playing from quarantine, I believe.
Yeah, doesn't help them, of course, so that is something that is definitely a hindrance. It has been in the group stage. Openings will be made. I thought for a second it was Hot and Cold jumping out the window and he actually rotated into the strip club. But Bosco now under pressure. Nitro comes out and will explode. Deals a lot of damage towards Always, but the kill is not being secured as of yet. Gemini Replicator will be checking out the construction where Shepard is looking to rotate around and potentially open up a new doorway. It is Empire that still needs to find an opening. It is the bar and it's the stage that they need to attack here. And as long as the stop floor is under construct, yeah, that it's annoying. The alibi Prismas.
They did that earlier against Na'Vi as well. They just throw it out of the strip club door on the far side, and they know it's a consistent thing on the screen, and it draws that irritants, but also allows this. We didn't see Hot and Cold do too many runouts, but it adds that sort of cover from it. There it is. It's removed by Empire, actually. They don't play around with it. They get rid of it, so they know they have a clearer idea of when a runout might come. Dan is able to find Bosco on this window, but there is Hot and Cold with that run out, and Rampy in the meantime suffers on longer engagement. Scythe has been able to find his way inside, and Joystick finds Rampy, finishes off that kill, and now it's just a slow creep down these main brick stairs. There is obviously still that trick around the corner. There is still the chance for player here, and as the clarity comes over Lounge, they've at least been able to clear a lot of space, which Na'Vi were not able to do before. Can they keep it? Because SSG played a lot of great retakes.
Now, there we have it. Joystick picks up an important kill. The bar has now been cleared out. We have a member of SSG in the strip club and one inside the kitchen. Scyther holds off an important rotate though and will shortly be able to potentially pick up Hotan if he does move out of the bathroom soon. Skies just holds an angle. He knows that this is where they need to come from. This is where the push should be coming in from, and as one kill is being landed back, it is Scyther that is unable to actually punish them for now. Hotan playing on those billiards here has an opportunity to try and deny this plant from happening. It's actually Skies that does that and drops that diffuser always. Is the only one left currently now, as Hotan will be able to pick up Scyther, who was playing up on those main stairs. 7 seconds left on the clock is not much time for him to work with and will potentially fall here as well. Gets the first, however, but the time runs out, and again, Empire start for time as they couldn't get past those last two players.
And it's now 11 defensive rounds won in a row, including the ones from the earlier showdown for SSG, and over half of that was just on club defenses alone. They've kept up that trend. They've kept themselves going, but I will say that round there, that was some of the best pressure that they've had put against them. They had to sort of rebuild. They couldn't go for the flashy retakes they did before. A couple of good movements there from Hotan and from Skies to be able to get a couple of bites out of the approach there of Empire. Dropping the diffuser is always so integral, and it leaves always in a very tricky situation. But it's club defense. It's a defense that we know these two teams know very well. So here on the third one, here on the tertiary, is where we're most likely to start to see potentially a drop defense.
That's it, right? I mean, they did get quite close last time around. It's just that those last two players were an issue. Hotan, with his runouts, was able to wreak some havoc down onto the Empire players. And Skies, of course, playing in that kitchen really uncontested up in that moment where he was going to be able to pick up those kills. That is something that Empire will learn from in the upcoming round. So as soon as the next rotation will be started, they probably will not fall to a player inside that kitchen doorway, looking all the way through. The gem site is chosen and the extension will be here in CCTV cache. All 5 members currently around this position, as some of them will start to fall back. It shows that utility is needed from every single member to keep track and keep control of this area, at least for as long as they possibly can. It's not the side, so they won't defend it with their lives. If they can fall back and make an impact, they will. That is something to keep in mind with this strategy. And Empire looking to instantly put up pressure from the garage side of things, which provides an extra angle and potentially cuts off a rotate as well if Rampy or Bosco want to go back.
Dan, he's been able to get 1 out of the 2 rounds before, but he's going to see if he can have a little bit more success than the last time he tried to get in on this door, where he was blown very quickly back outside. They have a presence at the top of red, and they're sort of weighing up where they want to make their approach from that opening, as the connection there onto the stockroom means it's not the cleanest route through, especially with the loose players that they've already sort of flaunted with and shown off always. He might see if he can throw a quick grenade over the top. We just had a Gun 6 pop off something, and actually just gets himself to the split side as that long stretch and angle gets opened up instead, including a rotate just behind the server and CC stack, so they can try and get themselves a little bit closer. There's a hole perfectly opened over the top. The Aruna gate means they can't go so directly, but here, the creep through always. He's on a little bit of a mission. How close can he get? How will this grenade cook itself? Rampy, he might have an idea. It's over the top and it gets caught out by the ADS. There's one. And that's actually different because last time when we saw this, there wasn't an ADS there. And Na'Vi were able to net 2 quick kills from it. This time they've learned, they've changed and adapted. Just that little read. And well, as the player gets himself in a dangerous situation, always finally finds the kill, but there's only about 1:20 left.
Yeah, there's not much time left, and they still need to push all the way over to the construction side. Fultz still out there looking with that DMR. We've seen it become a completely different beast. And Agiri, for example, was able to sidestep and pick up multiple double kills, and after that, multiple different people started to use it. It is actually a very incredible gun. That was the common consensus about it. 55 seconds on the clock. Empire have some presence on the highway. Shepard is out on the jacuzzi balcony, opening up as well, but will swiftly go up back to the top. So it's just to put up some pressure to the side of SSG. Let them think that there will be someone around that balcony, which will not be the case. The most of them will be pushing in for logistics. I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a couple of them on the roof as well, ready to drop that hatch.
Now more of a spray comes through here. Dan is going to see if he can find a body, but you're looking at 30 seconds and always suffering here. Once again, SSG is starting to pull themselves back. They're not overextending and taking the fights when they can. Faults on a trade with always with Rampy and Shepard. Finding a trade and Shepard on a toll suddenly. Empire's been able to find an absolute rip tear of bodies. Rampy in the middle, but 10 seconds. Scyther needs to try and find a way to stick that diffuser, or they've got a double push. The flashes go out. They're going for the dig into bathroom, and Shepard knew it. Found the swing, found the offsite, and finally, after 11 successful defenses in a row between the opening two here and the previous series, SSG have lost one.
Yeah, and this time around, Empire was able to translate their opening kill into the round, even though there wasn't that much time left. Rampy managed to escape the wrath of Dan, walking through from the construction site, unable to pick up the kill with the LMG. But after that, it was a double push to come through. They didn't want to go for a plant there. They didn't want to risk 2 1v1s with the time running out. It was probably better as well to just go for that kill. You knew exactly where it was. There was no other way it could be except for in that shower cabin. And Church will be played yet once again. It is unlocked and will be used by the side of SSG. Slight change coming up, seeing the goo mines coming back on the side of Rampy. Of course, since we saw that being changed, where you couldn't see the icons anymore over the entire map, but instead you needed to be in a line of sight and within 11 meters of them, I believe, to see whether or not they impacted or not.
I remember when Legion was old Legion.
Yeah, yes.
When he was broken in the right hands, I think. He was in that strange position where if someone knew how to play him... Okay, the easiest way of framing this is there wasn't a single site where it wasn't a good decision to bring him.
Yeah, because
he was never bad.
Information. It's 11 goo mines or something you put down, and you can find out exactly where they are at what given time. It's like 10 damage you did on instant. It was tick damage, so they were forced to pull it out, which took time. You could see exactly where they were at what given time at that moment. So it's like, as you said, like it's always a good operator. It just brings so much.
Okay, SSG, you've got yourself a win on this before, and they've generally gone with a pretty similar lineup, and I'm curious to see how much time they try and throw again up top. They were happy to sort of play up here and pull themselves back at the right time with, as we said, Hot and going for the extension out onto the strip club side. Empire, they're paying it a bit of attention, but also a bit of caution, remembering that they lost a player to a very early false C4, and they don't want to make the same mistake. They have pulled off the Jackal. They don't think it worked as successfully as I thought it did, and I guess now they're going to prove me wrong. Maybe they wanted to get the kills off the back, and, well, there's a bit of a moment there. Hot goes in for a fight, takes half damage. Was just pulling and playing against them and had a rough idea someone was in there and connected just a bit quicker as Dan looked away.
Kind of confused how the wall opened up by an exothermic, considering there was still a Mewjimmer out there. But as it is, Empire, or SSG, that gets that first frag yet once more due to a bit of a surprise attack from Hotton. It is him actually using that ARC-7 to try and stay hidden for as long as he possibly can. See if he can waste that time. Bosco playing above, and Logi is having these vertical angles to work with, so as soon as Scyther walks in to try and breach, he might be picked up as a result. And Rampy's still up on the top floor as well. Rotten as well. So many people off site currently on the side of SSG that it is just going to be problematic for Empire if they don't realize this. Honestly, one person on site currently is just Skies. Maybe Phil's has fallen back, but there's... You can literally overwhelm them.
Joystick, he's playing against this fight. He knows there's players there, and he doesn't quite get the catch in the C4, but he at least slips away. They've pushed with him, though. Always finds Rampy, and Bosco's got himself stacked up halfway up the stairs, ready to meet the Maker. But there is the danger of grenades, and it's something that both these teams know and play very, very well. So they've been able to pull focus. They can get themselves that kitchen hatch open now. They've pulled a player out of there and pulled at least one of them off the top floor, but you still have obviously the danger of the others, and it's a bit of a waiting game, and waiting games work way better if you're on the defender side. They've already slipped past, and they're watching a ghost that's already long gone, and Bosco, based on being able to get to this position, if he's gone unchecked, that can be a huge play. In fact, a full rotation with a shotgun now stacked up, and you can see Empire's having to fervently re-drone everything, try and recheck where all the players have gotten to.
There you have it. Swings up, gets the first kill. Joystick loses his life, and it's back. A 1 minute advantage here for the side of Space Station. Bosco able to slip by is going to be absolutely crucial here, always as well. Already inside the dirt tunnel, 14 seconds left. They're just going to execute right through there. Scyther above on the hatch is trying to provide some support, but as it gets taken out by a smoke canister and a nitro cell, it's only up to always now. But Houghton will be able to take out both, and it's SSG that win yet another round.
Once again, great play on the top floor, fed into by what was otherwise Empire getting a little bit lost. The player slipping past with the shotgun and that going unchecked. You could see they were set up entirely to try and prevent that. And sometimes one missed thing gives you a false confidence that leads to a player running around a corner and getting absolutely cut in half. CC is where we'll head to next, and this is still, for the record, this is still how they expect this to go. It is a club defense, as we've said. Everybody knows it. Everybody's familiar with it, and 4-2s are probably, it's probably one of the only maps that, if you were to look at the grand data of the tournament, sits standard.
It is. CCTV, the side that everybody knows how to attack. And well, Empire actually, I have a feeling that they are going to be very happy to attack CCTV because they've perfected that push over the years. And sometimes it brings something new. Sometimes it brings something exciting. We'll get to see whether or not they do this time around as well, as SSG is setting up their hold pretty default, you'd say. What is maybe different is the reinforcements towards Logi. Don't always see that. Sometimes, actually, no, those are fine. Yeah, everything is being reinforced this time.
Are you happy?
I'm happy.
Are you satisfied?
Have we got the ones on the red stairs? I'm not quite sure, just checking. No, that's left soft. There you have it. Okay. And then we also have the lines of sight created in the construction wall towards the cache. Those two reinforcements, they got taken off. They got put towards Logi to prevent long angles. Instead, they created new long angles with them by opening up that Logi wall. And I said it before, it used to be 2 walls. It's now 1 wall, where you would normally reinforce one and create angles in the other. That is not going to be the case now.
Yeah, they've got themselves a little bit more of a stretch here. They're more in a position to try and pull out some of the pace that Empire might want to collapse here. And Empire, they're going to see if they can try and dig this bandit out. Alongside the mute jammers, alongside all the hefted utility there, Bosco's going to do his best to try and play around with these exothermics. And obviously with Thatcher off the board, it's just going to have to be a matter of burning it through. They'll get through it, but SSG might have to do something bold and beautiful. The grenade takes care of 2 of them. It's a pop on the far side as Hot and Cold gets caught out, and that's your top of rafters player. So Rampy has to go and reconvene in that situation and slips his way up because you cannot lose that territory. Now as Joystick sends a Gemini replicator through to just get a read on that player. There they are, revealed. There's 2. Haha, you only got 1. But you can hear the breaches coming underneath him. They're going for that rotation here. They have the angle up to catch him. If he tries to hop the hot window, he is otherwise pincered.
Yeah, that's it. The window is the only way out right now, and Dan holding the rotation 2 there as well, so he's definitely going to be shot by 2 different people if Rampy tries to get out. Now, Joystick and Always are in a position close to be able to use their grenades. However, Always is out of grenades, doesn't have any left, and if I'm looking at it, yes, we should still have 2 left on Joystick, so probably we'll need some help from Dan to waste these ADSs. May they be there? But Dan is also out. Actually, check. Okay, Shepard is the only one that has flashbangs left. I'm just quickly checking who has any utility of any form, but not needed in the end. Shepard just kills Rampy instead, shoots him right in the head, and a minute is left now. Is Bosco that is rotating back up through the blue area, might be walking into a bit of a repel on the Empire members here. As Joystick is trying to create some verticality as well. Grenade will be tossed in the back of the CCTV area, but that shouldn't be hitting Sky's lens short as well.
Now, 45 seconds. You can see some drone works going on the backside. They're getting a read on where Faults is. They have a rough idea on the player positioning. They've cleared themselves so much space, but they've still got 2 C4s to have to play against. They've still got utility to bait out, and, well, now they've still got 2 C4s, 1 less player, 1 spray, and Always has it covered. It is a flawless to get themselves their second there, and with a very sturdy lockout on CC. This is why we talked about it before. This is why you don't see it too often now.
And I said it as well. This is probably them seeing CC and being like, haha, we love this side. We know exactly how to attack it and perfected it. And it gives Empire their second round here on Club, which is quite necessary, of course. Third one coming in, potentially, question mark? I don't know. We're headed towards CCTV again. That is a question mark.
I mean, we just saw it go away from them. It
was not just. It was like...
yeah. I mean, just in time-wise.
Yeah, but...
It definitely was swept away from them. But, you know, it's the conversation there with SSG is where do they think the disconnect was. Is it the player on the window? Do they think if they went for something a little bit more of a pressure around the windows of gym and bedroom and stopped that position on the CC window to be able to grenade out the far wall, is that going to be the change? Is Rampy going to potentially start up here to offer some support to Hotton so they can't just swing onto him? Is that going to be the change? There's little tweaks. In the minds of SSG, if they make them, suddenly they've offered themselves more support, but most importantly, might be able to take a player of Empire out on the approach that was otherwise kind of safe to do all the steps that they wanted outside of obviously active gunfights. They made sure that they had, or well, whether they made sure or not, they had safety out on that balcony or out on the opposite side.
Yeah, definitely does. As the Bennett wires are again going down, it should be an easy clear for the Empire players if we saw what they did before. They're also both placed next to each other, so literally a single fragmentation will take them both out. That's why sometimes you see them being placed apart from each other. However, if you do that, then you can take them down from the window, at least one of them. So it's a bit of a trade game, right? What do you want? Do you want it to be safe from the impact, from the frag grenades from below, or do you want them to be safe for a player that's potentially playing from above? And this Rampy again to be picked up. It's Dan to use the skeleton key potentially to open up, and the C8 right after to land the kill. Oh, from below.
From below. Well, that will be a drone where they had a call. Dan made sure the skeleton key opened up that loose player, and oh, they've lost Rampy. They've lost that potential flex around the map to try and apply some pressure elsewhere. We saw him rotate into the dropped spot by the smoke earlier, and this time none of that. He'll be watching and waiting from underneath. Talking of, pressure comes across the bow of Lounge. They're looking to see if they can dig their way into the bottom of Garage and then try and take out that walkway player. They know that that's that corner position for the hold on the top, and while some reverse fishing is on the cards, Joystick demonstrates there's multiple ways to get this popped open.
It's going to bend the trick.
He's going to go for it, but you assume that...
No, it's too late. They will open up. Yeah, he just tried one. He thought he might have been able to quickly get Shepard as he opened up, but Shepard waited for a couple of seconds there to see if he would be active, and indeed, deemed to be active. Always, I believe, is trying to get a grenade in from below as well. Yes, he did, but wasn't able to hit anybody either. A lot of grenades being used here by the side of Empire, and Joystick now ready at the bottom of the red stairs to push up. It's just that one barbed wire that will slow him down and give Skies the information that he's coming. That one barbed wire is going to be that little bit of safe ground as he does start sneaking up right now at the meantime here. Sky seems to be aware as he swings, and Hotton will be able to pick up the first kill here in the garage. Flashbangs are coming in, however, that means he's completely blind. The grenade will be following up right after as well. That bounces up on him, but misses the opportunity. Scyther, however, will land the kill.
42 seconds, though. They've done much better at wasting the time on the approach now, and Empire have a little bit less to work with. And, well, Scyther has everything to work with. A great take all the way from deep across the front of the site. There is a door return. Fultz is able to entirely cave that corner. And now with Skies stepping himself up onto the top, they're going to see if they can try and loop this C4. It's a bait and a play, and pulls it out. Backed off and no more in pocket apart from an impact, so it's going to be a swing, just misses that first, and there's a response from Dan. They have it covered. Fultz over the top is going to go for the cover here. 8 seconds and 2 other players. It's a post-blood, and it's a double for Fultz to make it a quad! And that is an SSG round, and that is a bit of gesturing.
I wonder where the cover was. I mean, I did see one on the balcony, but somehow able to pick up both the kills. And SSG, they managed to lock it off with a 4-2 instead of a 3-3 that was inbound. What a 4K that was. That should have been an Empire round. It was almost perfectly played by them again. But Fultz just manages to get 4 kills through. Doubles it in a round here, and you have it, you swing it, he goes for it. Pre-fire will be able to land it, and then the second one as well. Shepard tried to swing out and instantly return the favor. But it is SSG that wins it. It's Fultz that wins it. And it's Church Arsenal that will be chosen first by decisive Empire to start their defense on.
Hey, remember that thing that SSG likes to do?
Yeah, what do they like to do?
Oh, they like to just pull off big 3Ks and 4Ks.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
We had this conversation as we were walking away from the earlier game with Parker and Pengu, because our games ended at roughly the same time.
Yeah.
Where he said, we hear this a lot that throughout the whole series is pop moments, because That's what SSG keep doing, regardless of how long a series is. There's so frequently these 3Ks and 4Ks that just entirely put themselves into the setup, and
it must be so annoying to play against. Well, back then I called it the rampy insurance, but this time it's Fultz that goes for the 4K here. And I mean,
all of them have the capability.
That's it. All of them have it. And you mean Hotton is capable of doing it. Rampy, Bosco, Fultz, and Skies, all of them. That is Scyther just living through that reinforcement there, not taking a single point of damage. That is.
It was I mean, it was either timed to perfection,
respectable play,
or that was a terrifying moment for him.
Yeah, I wonder what he was shouting at that point in time. Either way, they'll open it up quickly there, so unable to get the kill, but actually no, they won't open it up quickly. It is the mute jammer in place, so
a little bit
has
higher.
to be replaced a couple of times here, or to the side. It's one of the two. There we go. Little opening will be made, and now they could go for an upside down repel potentially. Actually, you might not be able to hit that. It really depends on if you can find the right angle or not.
They have the Vault Cam in there to support him as well. They have just a little bit more utility. They obviously have that popped open now, which gives them just a little bit of that more control. And you know, it's this thing of where we talk about how SSG has that extension. They have themselves all what is offered, and Hot Cold has always his number. And you look at that extension now that's been cut off, instantly moving their way in. That red player has to get out of there for everything else that they had. They have nothing else really at that point, so they're going to pull themselves back. They still see force, a bit of cover and a bit of support otherwise, but all the players have found themselves all the way home. The pre-play C4 on the swing round as well against the Sledge might be able to prove effective. It's sometimes you see a buck broad instead, but it's also about timing and intel, and that's something that they always have.
Yeah, for sure. There's something they always have available to them. 1 minute 20 on the clock. Is it enough time for SSG to make their attack stick? I think it could be. I think there's definitely enough time here. As they do have that 1 minute advantage. They do have, of course, a lot of control already. There's no roamer currently out there. It's just Scyther that is looking to go aggressive right here, but he gets stunned, so he's forced to fall back. I'm not quite sure if the hatch has already opened up into blue. Doesn't seem to be the case, otherwise he would have been punished for it. Actually just opened up as he passed there, so Scyther will escape with his life.
Joystick is waiting for the pressure to come down. 50 seconds, but SSG can work quickly when they need to. The point already long since proven. Rampy, he's going to start smashing his way down Kitchen and seeing what else resides underneath as Bosco goes for the slow creep onto dirt. They've spread themselves out. They've got a lot of depth to their push, but there's a rotation coming up blue. There's a bit of a push and a fight back there onto Lounge from, I believe, Joystick. He's going on an adventure here to see if he can strike back as there's 20 seconds left. There he is, and this could be huge as he goes for the swing here. There's the player, and Rampy is taken out of it just before things start to hit ahead. They're able to drop a player. The push comes onto the site, but Dan rebuffs it. There's a hot drop there. Straight instantly into the firefight, but he can't quite get the connection as they rotate their way back round. Fultz doesn't have a lead in and doesn't have a curious way through the site. All the questions posed are answered, and no more curiosities are left.
Perfect flank there, actually, at the right timing. Able to pick up Rampy. Suddenly the whole blue pressure falls away, and there's only a couple of spots left that the Space Station members can come from. And it sows a bit of chaos in their push as well, because suddenly you lost the whole aspect of it. As Joystick confirms that kill, he quickly falls back, and suddenly everything is coming down from the main stairs and, of course, the motorcycle hatch. And Empire to bring it back a little bit closer. 3-4 currently. Just other quick fun fact they have over the last 12 months not lost Clubhouse a single time against SSG. So I doubt that they'll try and start doing that now. Something big just happened.
Something massive just happened. And it's the thing when you cast next to our wonderful colleagues from EUL, Ace and Dez, is you'll hear them. But also when they're casting a Latin American team, you'll hear that as well. So we'll get an update. What's the update there?
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Cover your ears if you don't want to know.
TSM has won with a 2-1 map score there. So well played to them. They proceed.
NA
goes through.
You're doing well.
At least in one of the games. We don't know about this one yet. We might send one home to the lower bracket.
I mean, we'll have to see. If it's a home, it's a home no one wants to be in right now.
Unless you were at 4th place and you managed to creep up to the 3rd place. Never mind. Fifth place to third place.
Maths is
Try again.
hard.
Fifth place to fourth place at the last day of the groups. I think then you're more than happy to be there instead of when you're playing home. There we go.
Yeah, that's like the one. That's the one situation. Okay, Monty. Let's get into you as you're about to get into your way onto site here. You think this is going to be the drive onto the top of CC. They have, I don't know if it's a cautionary fear. You can see how far away Rampy is. Whether they've got the reveal that there's a player on the far side with a drone and they want to see if they can pick that up or not. You can see Houghton was sort of gesturing to that exchange, and Rampy's off on his own job here trying to find Dan, who's rotating his way actually back up from where he was before on the far side of the map. Now it's sort of driving that control underneath. We saw how powerful that play can be from the pockets of Empire. It's going to be the same here, but Joystick's about to meet a man mountain sooner rather than later, combined with the stuns of faults that might come through after he's done a little bit of busy work here underneath the wall to get it open. Apart from that charge.
Ooh, there we go. Shepard quickly puts one back up, and that might actually catch an extra thermic. Let me check. Skies only has one left, so I'm not quite sure if he used one on the actual garage door.
Yeah, he did.
He has. All right, so
he was if Shepard had waited like
half a second,
it would have been his. So SSG still have that utility to work with. They're going again. They're picking it up. They're dropping it down. That one has got a bandit trick, a classic.
Yeah.
It's your favorite milkshake from when you were a kid, and Hong Kong doesn't like the taste of that. Smoke forced back. The Monty isn't quite able to get a dig in here onto the top, and that's twice they've been rebuffed, but losing the exothermic is a huge blow. Sure, they have those Selmas. Those can be tricked out. That's the band in a locked-in position. They have to try and force their way here against Joystick, who's still in a power position. Because even if you get that CC breach open, if you do not have the rafters, there's really, you're in a really tricky situation where you just try and got to force the fight.
That's it, Ryan. As soon as Houghton starts moving through, then the call will come through for Scyther to toss a smoke all the way through the door, through the window, up towards the staircase there, and to try and take him out. There he comes. He's pushing through. I think that we might see the smoke canister being tossed in very soon. Flashbangs are coming in, so is a grenade. Joystick still lives somehow, though, as the pressure is truly rising here. Rampy picks him up. That's the entry kill, and Houghton now is going to be close on those rafters, on that window. There is an opening they can work with here, but he only needs a single point of, well, a tick of a smoke for him to lose his life.
Shepard's pulled himself over to construction window. They're going to see if they can find a way in as they start to try and crack down. Hot and Cold's going to go be a door. He's going to see if he can just lock off the rotation to cash. The smoke canister pops off and puts Sky so low. And now Faults is going for a creep up red. They have to try and get rid of that smoke player, and it comes against them. Faults gets dropped, leaves him down, picked up on the trade, and they're going to see if they can stick it. They just need to try and make a connection here. A big LMG over the top, but there's a door right in the way. Behind them, Dan should have the pickup. They can't quite get the lockdown, but the post is down, and it's just a flood back in from Empire. The positioning of the diffuser was a clever change, but Dan with the loop back round, the flank on the flank, comes through for Empire.
Indeed, there was one man still in that construction trying to deal with the Monty, and as soon as Dan came up from the back, the Monty realized, I need to start walking back now, because if I stay here, I'll just receive a bullet in the back from the MPX, and that will end me here as well. And Empire now put themselves up 4-4, despite, in these last two rounds, missing the opening kill. A lot of time was being wasted. An exothermic that got tricked as well by a bandit, not per se because it was being placed down as soon as the exothermic detonated, but because of the bandit got placed down and Skies couldn't cancel the animation anymore as it sat through at those final, well, half a second or something, and it instantly gets zapped out. Jim will be chosen next as Empire continues their rotation. Even though they keep losing the opening kill, they somehow managed to bring it back time and time again. Round 7, it was a late flank that suddenly relieved all the pressure to come down from blue. In round 8, it's always that manages to put up a triple kill with Den that comes up from the back as well to retake the side in a 2v3 manner.
Now, we talked about the tertiary sites before. We talked about the fact that on Club, you're sort of expected to take 2 of your attacks, generally, very vaguely as a number in this sort of setting, in this sort of international play. So this is it. This is the one that probably, out of all the rounds we've had so far, the 2 on this turn and a half that has the most weight right now for SSG. And they've proven that they can take this well. They were obviously, they only took 1 of their attacks against Na'Vi in the entire half, but that was their first attack onto gym bedroom. That was their first claw in to those locations. And with the Bandit on the board, you assume he's not going to be able to pull off the tricks that he did before, especially without a castle as well, the limitations of that swinging on the far side.
Now, Black Eye gets taken out, so there was one located, was one tossed down, but a drone on the roof was able to see it fly through. Of course, with the recent changes, or basically changes we had this year, you could choose to stay on your drone rather than get kicked off it, which means that these Valkyrie cams that get tossed out at the moment, that is going to be just too late. He was about to try and go for the trick there, Shepard, but he's unable to find that exothermic charge. But to continue the point, it is harder now to get these Valkyrie cameras outside because people can stay on their drones and just spot them out as they fly in.
All right, SSG, you've been able to start getting stuff opened. Cracked on the far side, but haven't really thrown yourself dedicated to try and get rid of Joystick and Scyther, who are actually picking up utility, pulling the shield back, and maybe going to reconvene and restructure on the site itself. Potentially on the bed, no, even wider as... There it is, this is what I talked about. It's going to be pretty tough to be able to hold onto that without the lock-in. The C4 doesn't catch a player outside. They'd long since rotated off, and one of them even pulled themselves onto the roof to escape. Hodden puts the pressure onto the window of Jim. They have themselves locked in and crossed over, but now they've got to see if they can try and pull a bit of control of logistics.
Let's actually check in, because Houghton is now on that highway, of course, is quite vulnerable for a potential run out from the CCTV window. And while Scyther is still there, there was an SSG member that was holding him off at that very given moment. Fultz is playing on the balcony out here, trying to waste some time, and the run-outs are attempted right now. We'll probably call, hey, it's clear, even though it is not quite yet. Scyther decides to go for a rotate out. It's just Fultz holding this, trying to provide some support to Houghton, who's carrying that diffuser and thus is so important in this given moment. But a sort of impact here could actually be huge as well. Spots one, goes for a second, but he doesn't quite get the kill. Bosco gets down, and Houghton has the opportunity to go for the pickup.
Dan is able to find Rampy in the meantime. They tried to put pressure onto the side at the same second, and Fultz doesn't quite get the full connection with a little bit of a swing out there of Joystick, who now fully knows that there's a player here stuck in a 1 versus 1, but with 30 seconds, as I said before, but it's the vice versa time. Our time works for us as defenders. Hot and Cold's going to see if he can get this diffuser dropped right in the middle. Shepard is entirely caught out by Bosco on the side, but Joystick wins the fight on the far side. Goodbye, Houghton. He's off down below, downstairs. We'll see you later. Joystick, in the meantime, is able to at least find Bosco back. They have 2 vertices, 2 sides, one underneath and one just out on the balcony for the swing. It's so exposed. This kit, this diffuser, and the 3 remaining players are going to have to try and find a way to get themselves back through. Houghton's watching this rotation. He's going to make sure it's locked in, so Dan goes for the slow creep and crawl below. They have to cover a bit of noise, and there it is. Just sees the hand, and the cover comes through. It's theirs. Now the diffuser's being held, but it is locked in. Empire complete their 3-site rotation with about 3 seconds to spare, and they pull ahead. Very good Team Empire map, and if they drop Club the same way they dropped their first map in the previous showdown, they don't have the joy of being on their home turf to carry them.
No, for sure not. And that is, of course, going through their minds right now, as well as Empire yet again will set themselves up. They're headed towards the church. The last time around, it was also an advantage for the side of Spacestation Gaming. However, Joystick snuck up the new blue stairs, came into stock, and managed to pick up Rampy, who was about to be putting up the pressure from the blue side to really complete the circle, to make sure that there was pressure from any given moment and any given point upon the Empire defense. And as soon as that kill came through, it was a bit of chaos in the final execute, and Empire, of course, had to only focus all their guns on those 2 different entrances. And that was successful. They managed to pick up that round, they managed to pick up the kills, and now they'll find themselves back at church. And I think a big change I would like to have is to finally pick up the entry kill, because they have been unable to do that so far on the defense.
I think that's it as well, is they're not quite able to find that loose player that they sometimes had on their earlier showdowns. Empire, they're either having that cover, they're having that support, or they're just a little bit out of reach and out of touch of the intel game being driven here. The Flores could offer them that little bit of pace as they get themselves set up to see if they can get control of the corridor outside kitchen and limit the play. They're not wasting any time. It's pre-fires, it's quick clears, and it's clarity over the top 2 floors. They know that they need as much as possible to dig out the utility of the site. That's where the Flores drones will start to kick in. That's where we'll start to see that full push against those barbs, against those other locations, and just pull something out of their hold.
Scyther quickly checking on the dirt, sees there is nothing there, and, well, whilst he stays there, It's actually SSG that will put up some pressure from the blue area. It is one RC Rotero that gets used. It just gets a barbed wire here, but a second one will surely shortly follow. Actually, it goes down the oil pit to see whether or not it is clear. We'll confirm that, so a drop could be on its way. If it wasn't for Joystick playing close around the corner, he has the opportunity to swing as soon as you drop. And all the same goes, of course, for the staircase out there. Skies opens up on that hatch. At least a bit more pressure will be upon Empire.
That's it. The 2 drones in the second. Well, it didn't get fully stopped, but it didn't reach its intended target. It was looking for things at bottom of oil. Didn't quite get the full connection with the barbed wire that was ahead of it because Joystick went for the swing. So getting that blue hatch open, it limits the play that he can do. They still might need those drones elsewhere though, so they're going to start working on the other structure. Get these hatches open, get your angles down, cut off the movement of Empire, and then try and find some results. There's still those Banshees. There's still those screams on all of the drops in the corners, so there's still some utility for Houghton to see if he can get rid of. You can see the Florist drone dropping immediately down kitchen hatch and looking for, well, nothing. A Maestro cam was well prepared and well ready to deal with anything that might try and get it there on the far side.
Just wondering if they're going to be able to get this take pull off here on the SSG side. There's a lot of them ready to go for a jump in here. Yokais are currently being spotted out, and as they see no one is actually deep inside the armory, they might just try and go and for the bet of it. Shepard, he's hiding inside church. He's trying to play with those yokai drones when it's necessary, and his hot and cold is getting a drone around the corner. It's actually Phils that cannot land the kill. But he will be pushing down. He will be pushing into blue here. And as the flashbangs come in from his teammates here, he hopes to pick up the kill onto Scyther, who is quite close. Picks up the first as Skies goes for the plant. But they at least try and fight back on the Empire side of things.
Yeah, Fault using that LMG for all it's worth. Pre-fires and angles. Shepard is entirely locked out. Goes in his drone and cameras, hoping the cover comes through. Dan is going big. Gets a double, but couldn't quite get to the one to stop the diffuser in time. A 2 versus 3. And SSG, they have some time and some control. You can see a bit of a rotate coming around off the side of dirt where they're going to try and get themselves into kitchen within the remaining timer and trust that the 2 players they have. And now they've got the vertical control as well. The big rotation and the pre-fire to sort of say, we're here now, you got to deal with us too. In the meantime, we got your mate. It's just hot and cold. Left sort of standing on the far side of blue with Dan on the fight itself. Finds it above. Can't quite get the full connection with Skies. Getting in, getting the diffuser down, and getting out of there.
That's how we're supposed to do it, right?
I'm still amazed by how we saw Shepard just take the gunfight with the entire magazine and said, I'm out of here. Goes prone on his drone. See if he can still stop it. He's like, I'm not going to win this gunfight. I'm just going to see if I have utility left in a place where I can buy our team some extra time. Not the case in the end. Then SSG, they win their 5th round as well, which puts us all up even now. 5-5. And Empire, after they have just lost Church, they decide to go to CCTV and see if they can pull off that defense yet once again. As we move on, we do see the Warden that will be pushed in. It is the Flores as well that makes an entrance here on the side of Hot and Cold yet once again. We just saw it as well. A lot of utility, of course, taken out, and potentially they will try and do the exact same yet once again. Through the drone on the plateau, maybe to get rid of Shepard if he tries the bandit trick, you know, go in a bit of tandem there, get rid of the bandit wires, make sure that no new ones are placed.
The tack time outworked wonders for SSG. It was able to pull them around after they weren't able to get anything, and it was a very well put together round to go for the sudden throw down. They knew where they needed to be. Obviously forcing Joystick out and then an LMG that, as we said, the SSG love a good LMG. And from that point onwards, it was tricky for Empire to try and bite back in to the push. They were sort of muscled out of their positions and muscled out of being able to lock in the side itself. As I said, they're still rotating off to CC. They're still going to see if they can try and make things work elsewhere. There's 2 rounds before we find ourselves... Oh, goodbye, Bosco.
That is an opening kill, finally, on the side of Empire. So it's a good one. Hibana out of the way. Just the exothermics left now to open up. So they're really going to make sure that there's no trickery going down here from Shepard. And they're going to do that with these RC Roteros. They're going to try and get them through the drone holes here. Scyther might be able to just spot this out. No, he will not. And both of them will be taken out. Oh, no way! Skies! He just lost his exothermic to a wall that hasn't been cleared yet. And now Shepard goes for the second. Is he going to get both? No, no, no. Skies pulls off, for now at least. Knows that he cannot push through with it yet. There's only just a singular one left here. A singular bandit wire he has available. But Skies was a bit too early on placing the first one, and as a result, he lost that one. Flashbangs are being tossed in now, so Houghton really wants to put up that pressure. His Fultz takes a lot of damage, actually, from Dan from the side of the construction, and now they don't feel so safe anymore.
They tried to go for the alternate take, and they tried to see if they could put the pressure on the backside, but Dan sort of met them. Skies was finally able to get the wall open with the last sliver of hard destruction they have. They don't have the width of the swing, though, against the player on the rafters, and that's the tricky situation, because now if they want to try and take that fight, they have to throw themselves into more of an uncomfortable situation. The player behind there doesn't have to go too fast, so they're going to see if they can get lounge control, push their way up from underneath, make sure that nobody's going to go for the flank on the opposite side.
That's it. They need to find a way in, and this grenade might be it. If it finds Shepard, that is going to be a kill, but no, does not. Just almost did it, though. A jump in from Houghton will be able to find him, however, as Dan quickly refrags. It's still a 2-on-4 situation. It's still a favor here for the side of Space Station, for the Empire, not Space Station Gaming, mind you. And Empire are looking to push themselves to a first map point here. As Skies is looking with his drone. They wanted to go quick, but failed, but now they need to make up for it. He needs that information. And Rampy, you said it yourselves, they need to go for a bit of an uncomfortable play here. And they need to push through that garage door if they want to get rid of Always.
That's it. Always is safe from anything on the second story at this point, so it's this. An aggressive swing round. Rampy has no grenades in pocket, sees the tip of a beret, but not for very long. Always either side to a piece. And the 3-stage players, and you assume the 2 at home are doing COVID distanced fist bumps. Well, not at home in the hotel room. Through the wall.
Right,
like
through the wall.
Assuming that their hotel rooms are connected, like they hit the wall. 6-5, Empire. On SSG's map, gym bedroom is where they think they can lock it off. They don't want to go back to church, even though it was their first take, and to be fair, they lost it the last swing round, so instead going to go for the extension here. I haven't seen a bandit this successful in a long time.
No, actually not. They managed to get 2 extra thermics, but mind you, the first one wasn't really tricked. It was the RC that went in.
It was.
Skies puts it down, but the RC didn't explode yet, so loses it as a result. They wanted to go quick, as I already said. They didn't want to give Shepard any opportunity of opening up, and as a result, well, that's where we ended up in the end. But hey, 6-5. Empire are 1 round ahead. And the last time they played here, it was a 3v3 retake coming through perfectly as well, which is something that they need to make sure doesn't happen again on the side of Space Station. Empire, of course, they also want to make sure that that doesn't really happen, and then this time around decide, so you know what? We cut it quite close the last time when it decided to reinforce in the middle of the round, so let's just do it pre-round this time. Use the prep phase for it. And as that wall is now closed, surely it will be opened up again by either X-Kairos or by an exothermic charge. But as that drone gives out a spot to Dan, they know there is a roamer downstairs, and that could be dangerous.
Yeah, Dan's getting those cams set up. He's going for that bit of a stretch and a range, and obviously we've seen him play rotates before, 14-6. And for a player who throughout this tournament has actually come into this game as the lowest rated player on Empire, has had an absolute scream of an opening map here and really been able to step in to SSG. Fultz isn't quite comfortable in stock, so he's going to get himself out of there and go for the rotation round on the opposite side, potentially trying to apply some pressure alongside the rest of the team to that strip side towards the bedroom itself, and maybe try and cut off some rotates before the rotates, well, become pointless.
Sky's on the roof now. It's gonna open up. CCTV, no, actually decides not to. Maybe up to the, no, construction, no, okay. Still some hesitation going on what will be opened up exactly, but his arch nemesis is here. it's Shepard who's managed to make his life very difficult so far. And he spots out that electricity and he's like, all right, I'm out. I'm not going to try it.
The mute jam there stops the Flores drone being able to get in. They went for the take they had before, and they're going to need to try and find a different way. As I said, without the castle, it becomes a bit trickier to sort of play against that, because usually they'll just swing onto the highway window. They'll put the pressure straight across the front of that, straight across a bandit that tries to get in there. And well, with that mute jammer there, they can't go for their direct approach. They could try and get a grenade in, and Joystick's going to see if he can be that response on highway via... Oh, nothing, unfortunately. They're a bit too far away. I think they dropped it and actually then just dropped off the front. Yeah, Hot and Cold is now back in and amongst the vehicles.
And managed to open it up. A grenade came through, and in the end, they open it up. By the way, there is a bit of verticality being created onto the actual bathroom now, which forces Shepard to play a bit more safe. Fultz will be coming up the back stairs, and the question here is, are the Empire players aware of it? Grenades are being tossed in, a bit of damage is being done, and Shepard is truly under pressure. Rotates out of that bathroom. Fultz still sneaking up on the main stairs here. As soon as he fires that first shot with the LMG, they know exactly where he is and what the pressure is coming from. And surely Empire will have a response ready. But as drones are coming through, it is them that rotate around many times as well to try and get into the best possible position that they can be. And Fultz is still hiding there. Rampy gets the opening kill, however, and that might be the starting shot for SSG.
Well, there's still structure, but look at how they forced the Empire players out, and they're not giving anything over on that balcony as they almost suffered a drop before. A deep dive and a brave one there by Dan, going in and getting in the bedroom itself, but taken out by Rampy. They didn't quite have the comfort that they had. 20 seconds, though, and the plant is being put down. Shepard has an angle. Shepard's able to get a huge take there. Always is stacked up. They need to recollect the diffuser, see if they can get the stick on the second time. Always has a call, and Shepard has faults. It's a swing back round. It's a second, not quite a connection. In the main stairs is a bit tricky with Hotton getting one more. In the post plant, it's a close fight there on the shower. They can't quite get the connection over the top and under, and round they go. It's a 2 versus 2, but one is far underneath. Scythe is going to offer some cover and support. They're going to see if they can try and get this long-armed before they're able to get into position to swing. The Wamaia's doing everything to watch, and Scythe slaps it. No, and there's the cover! Empire take Clubhouse from SSG.
And what a retake that is. It's a 3-on-3 again. It's the plant that is coming through. And